Looks like we are live. Let's just check out what's happening over on X. So far, we're not showing up on X. Why is that? Everybody, if you could just sit tight for a moment while we...
You are live on X, Dimitri.
I am. That's bizarre because it's not showing up on mine. But in any case, just 1 second. I want to just make sure we're good to go over here. Yep, we are good to go there. Okay, I'm going to take your word for it, Rami, that we are live on X. Although I typically like to pin that so that, let me just see if I can pin our video on X. There we go. Okay, so welcome everybody to our latest live stream on Reason to Resist. Today is last day of November. Time flies by when the world is going to hell in a handbasket. And we are pleased to be coming to you today from Toronto, Canada. That's where I'm currently situated. I'm in a hotel in downtown Toronto. I came to town for a variety of purposes after arguing a hearing in Ottawa, a court proceeding in Ottawa on Thursday, which we'll come back to in a moment. Rami, you are, I take it, joining us from the general vicinity of Paris, France. Is that correct?
Precisely, Dimitri. I'm still in Paris, moving around a bit of the city, exploring the different neighborhoods, somehow getting close to the center.
Now, you've been in France for a while, although you've been zipping in and out of France.
Right. So
how long have you been there?
I've been here since the end of August. I was recently in Geneva, Switzerland, saw some family, some friends, and some average level hockey. So we're from Montreal, Dimitri. You know, we have a high standard for hockey, although Montreal Canadiens are not doing too well. Well, they lost yesterday 7-2. But yeah, so that was fun. And I've been to Austria, Dimitri. So I saw, well, in Geneva, I saw all the different houses Lenin lived in. And in Austria, I saw the hotel, well, the apartment where Stalin was living in for 3 months. And now back in Paris and looking for a way to stay here for much longer.
I'm sorry, did you say that Stalin lived in an apartment in Austria for 3 months? Is that true?
And it was a very strange period, Dimitri, where Stalin, Trotsky, Hitler, and Tito all lived in Vienna within the same time period, back in like 1912, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, crazy. Hello to Laudaby, Alexander Karayanis. Good day to you, our friend from Athens, Greece. Cows for Cheese. I'm a big cheese fan. I like that name. Good day to you as well. And we have Dr. I'm sorry, I may mispronounce it, Merkward Igliba. Sorry for the pronunciation if I got that wrong. Welcome. And Flower Power, thank you very much for your kind remarks. It's great to have you all here. Il tire et il compte. He shoots and he scores. By the way, I'm not a hockey fan, but Rami apparently is. We're looking also at, we're being joined by Fami Danyadad. I probably messed that up too. Dirk Diggler, hello. And people are starting to stream into our stream. So before we begin, you know, while people are joining us, maybe we'll just chat about a couple of things. We're going to be focusing today upon Rami's intrepid reporting from a Homeland Security weapons bazaar, basically, that is held in Paris, I think, every 2 years. It's called the Milipol Homeland Security Exhibition. Rami obtained some rather revealing video and audio from his visit there, which we're going to share with you. We're going to focus on the Israeli cybersecurity industry and its many tentacles around the world. But there were other interesting aspects of this exhibition as well, which we hope to have time to deal with in the second part. But before we get there, one of the things Rami's been working on recently when he hasn't been gathering intel on these criminals, and by the way, that's my opinion, that these people ultimately are engaged in one way or another in war crimes. He's been preparing to launch a new French language version of what we call in English Reason to Resist. So Rami, could you tell us about that? What is the new name of the channel? What's its focus going to be? And when can we launch?
So Dimitri, I've been working behind the scenes on this project called Radio Résistance. That's I think the first draft of the name. Basically, Dimitri, Paris is a bit of like a central hub for the Francophone world. Just yesterday, I bumped into this massive gathering of people in Cameroon protesting against their government, wanting to seek independence from France, and they're inspired by what's happening in Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, and there's nowhere else in the Western world, at least, where you'll be able to meet such movements. So being here in Paris, Dimitri, I feel like super inspired to meet more revolutionary people. We're publishing our first report, which is an hour-long interview with Dieudonné, the most persecuted public figure in France, criminalized for his funny jokes, in my opinion. Currently has an ankle monitor, and was fined over like $1 million. He says more than $1 million just for doing jokes about people in France that it seems that you're not allowed to do. When it comes to Muslims, Charlie Hebdo gets celebrated. When it comes to defending Palestine and doing jokes about this, you get $1 million in fine, €1 million in fines, an ankle monitor, and you're threatened with jail time. So Dieudonné is going to be the first interview we're going to release. Then I was able to interview Francis Villemain, who was the lawyer for Maurice Papon, who was a person that was tried for collaboration with the Nazi occupation. But Francis Villemain is also kind of the modern day Jacques Vergès, this lawyer who decides to take causes for its historical meaning. So he defended Carlos Ilich Ramirez, who is this
Carlos the Jackal.
Carlos Jackal, who did the Vienna OPEC bombings. Hostage situation. And I actually, when I was in Vienna, Dimitri, I filmed an intro there. You just reminded me of that. So I went to the OPEC headquarters where all of this happened. And I also interviewed Cher Sidati, who's a longtime friend of Dieudonné. And he spoke to me about what's going on in Martinique, in Guadeloupe, Kanaki, and all these. I mean, France is not a historical colonial power. It currently is one today. It was able to steal Mayotte out of engineering kind of these policies around this referendum that was happening in Comoros Islands. France said, we're going to keep Mayotte because they voted partially to stay in France instead, basically destroying the ethos of this referendum just to keep a colonial base in Africa, as if they didn't have enough of those. And of course, Kanaki, which is pretty much the UN recognized illegal occupation. So I interviewed Cher Sidati, and we spoke about that. There's a couple more reports, Dimitri. Yeah, sorry.
Let's not give an exhausted list, because I know our audience probably wants us to get into the meat of your intrepid reporting. Just one other thing you didn't mention. So when are we going to be in a position to launch this channel, Rami?
On Tuesday, Dimitri, I think we're going to have a hour-long discussion where we're going to comment on my interview with Dieudonné, and then we're going to post a full interview on the French channel on that same day. So hopefully on Tuesday or Wednesday, Dimitri, we should be ready to rock and roll.
Okay. So just so people know, many of the people who are Francophone are less likely to have ever heard of Dieudonné. Dieudonné is a comedian who has been, performing for decades. I first saw Dieudonné when he came to the comedy festival in Montreal, which is a pretty big comedy festival. I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. And at that time, he was controversial, but he was not. He wasn't being pursued by criminal authorities. And then over time, the reason why he was controversial is because he's extremely critical of Zionism in Israel. Primarily, that's the reason. And over time, he has become targeted by, I think, the most extraordinary campaign of repression that I'm aware of in my lifetime that ever has been launched against a performing artist. It's really extraordinary. He's walking around with an ankle bracelet. He's barred from performing. He's been subjected to fines, criminal proceedings, multiple criminal proceedings. And so it was, to be honest with you, it was a difficult decision for us as a media organization whether to interview Dieudonné, not because we don't think he should be silenced. We think his point of view should be heard, and that is why we ultimately interviewed him, but because he's so heavily targeted. So anyways, we've gone ahead with it. I've watched the interview. It's really a fantastic interview. I think Rami's finest work, frankly, and it is really interesting to hear what he had to say. Dieudonné is somebody who has been subjected to this extraordinary forms of repression by the French state and by the most powerful and influential lobby groups, Zionist lobby groups in France. Now, on my side, I just published a report this morning about something curious that happened on Thursday. I was arguing a full-day motion in the Ontario Superior Court of Justice in Ottawa, Canada's capital, in a case that I and 6 other lawyers have brought against the Canadian government, alleging that it's violating the Genocide Convention of 1948. And at that hearing, a former captain in the Israeli military who's been closely monitoring me for 8 years at least, and I know this because he has reached out to me extensively over that period of time. Dozens and dozens of occasions he has communicated with me. He's repeatedly asked me for meetings. On one occasion, I actually did agree to meet with him in Montreal, where we sat down, had a beer for like an hour and a half. That was about all I really cared to do by way of interaction with this guy, but he just kept, seeking me out. And he showed up in the courtroom on Thursday and spent the entire day there. At some point, he and I had an interaction during the lunch break. And so the report that I published today is mostly about this guy. The report is titled The Spy Who Stalked Me, Part 3. In addition, in the second half of the report, I talk about some of the more shocking news that has come out of occupied Palestine during the past few days, including the bombing of 2 children aged 11 and 8 in the Gaza Strip who were scavenging for food. This has been admitted to by the genocidal Israeli military, that they killed these 2 children because they viewed them as suspects who were threatening to ground troops. And then there is, of course, and many of you will have already seen this horrific video of Israeli terrorists in the West Bank shooting dead 2 unarmed Palestinian men who have their hands in the air and have plainly surrendered. And as a footnote to that report, I learned this morning from Haaretz that the bloodthirsty psychopath Ben-Gvir, the national security minister, promoted the commander of the soldiers who, I think they were actually border police, who killed these 2 young men, who murdered these 2 young men in cold blood. And the promotion was basically a reward to the commander for having troops under his command who behave in this criminal and sadistic manner. So in any case, I hope you'll watch that report. It is thematically related to what we're going to discuss today, which is Israel's espionage capabilities. So let's turn then to the Milipol Homeland Security Conference. I like how they gave it that name that dates back from the Bush era, Homeland Security. And the exhibition was held in Paris from November 16th to 19th. Here you see the website of the Milipol exhibit. It bills itself as the leading event for Homeland Security and Safety. It's organized every 2 years under the aegis of the French Ministry for the Interior, in partnership with several national and international institutions, governmental bodies. In 2023, which was the last time it was held before this month's event, the event gathered over 1,100 exhibitors and over 30,000 visitors. So, Rami, why don't you just start by telling us, how did you find out about this thing and how did you get in? Was that tricky, or was it just basically open to anybody?
So, Dimitri, I was just minding my own business here in my apartment. I saw like maybe a post on Instagram, basically detailing this event happening in France, right? Milipol, I think it was like on social media. Maybe it was a reel by Al Jazeera. So initially, Dimitri, France banned all Israeli companies from participating at its military shows, right? So there was one, I believe, a few months ago where Elbit Systems was denied access to this large military conference. And here at the last minute, Dimitri, France ended up allowing Israeli companies to attend this Milipol exhibition, this trade show. And the rationale behind it was that since there's a ceasefire in Gaza, right? I mean, it's a fair game now, right? We turned the page. The genocide is supposedly over, according to the French government, and now these companies can start participating again. It's as if, Dimitri, Israel's crimes are limited to when the war is happening. First of all, the genocide is still going on, but then as soon as there's like a fictional ceasefire, then it's like back to normal. And there's no accountability either, right? So France is quick to say that Israel might have committed atrocities, but now that there's a ceasefire, these companies could participate again, not have any issues, keep selling their battle-tested weapons, right? That's how these Israeli companies are promoting their weapons. There was a lot of people going through the Israeli booths because, well, unlike other countries, Israel actually has data. Dimitri, the first booth I went to was a Latvian company, and they were making these little kind of vehicles that are unmanned, that is meant to bring cargo to the front lines or to evacuate wounded soldiers from the front lines. And I ended up asking this guy, is this being used anywhere? He's like, yes, we have 6 divisions using our unmanned vehicle in Ukraine. And I was like, what's the feedback? What are the 6 units saying? He said, well, when we did our first test run with this one Ukrainian unit, they said our vehicle was awful. And then I was like, oh, that's bad. He's like, yes, but then we were able to take this data, improve on the feedback that we got from these Ukrainian soldiers, to then release an updated version and to keep improving on our vehicles. And now it's being used by 6 other units. So battle testing weapons, Dimitri, is an insane amount of data that is able to refine your weapons to then export them even more. So there's absolutely makes a lot of sense for Israel to have a lot of traffic. They had 2 years, Dimitri, to massively surveil Palestinians, assassinate whoever they want with total impunity, and battle test weapons, Dimitri, whether it was drones, whether it was cybersecurity tools, whether it was missiles, you name it, guns. And we're going to talk about this later on, but every single company I spoke to was talking about how, well, they've battle tested their weapons and it works. So it really feels, Dimitri, like there's a pipeline going from Gaza to Homeland Security. And we're going to talk about this later on. And Israel and Gaza actually becomes the laboratory where we test and then export.
Yeah, this change in the French government's position on Israeli participation in Milipol was mirrored at the EU level a few weeks ago after this criminal fraudulent ceasefire supposedly went into effect. Kaja Kallas, the head of policy for the EU, announced that the EU was not going to suspend, after all, its association agreement with the genocidal Israeli entity, which is the main instrument by which Israel has managed to, do a lot of exporting of products for billions and billions of dollars annually to the European Union. So the background of that is that the EU was pressured for 2 years of horror to do something, impose some sanction on Israel. It did nothing, even though it had sanctioned the bejesus out of the Russian Federation and sanctioned the bejesus out of Iran. And at the 11th hour, just before, a few weeks before this so-called ceasefire was supposed to go into effect, they announced that they were going to suspend certain aspects of the association agreement with Israel, I don't know that they ever did. If they did, they only did it for a few days. And then as soon as the ceasefire went into effect, they said, we've changed our minds because there's a ceasefire. So we're not going to suspend the association agreement after all. So they've never really imposed any kind of a sanction on Israel throughout all of this. And by the way, and this is something I cover in the report we just published this morning, the executive director of Amnesty International, probably the most reputable human rights organization in the West, and an organization of global renown, just put out a statement yesterday, I'm sorry, 2 or 3 days ago, that it is the official position of Amnesty International that genocide is not ended, it is ongoing, which, by the way, should be obvious to anybody who's paying attention. But it's now that is entering the mainstream, the idea that it never ended, it's ongoing. So this rationale, Rami, which the Macron regime came up with for allowing the genocidal Israeli military effectively to participate in this exhibition has zero credibility, none whatsoever. The genocide is ongoing, the ceasefire is meaningless. So just to go back to the second part of my question, so was this thing just generally open to the public, or did you need to get some special accreditation? How did you get in there?
So I discovered the event the day before the last day. So I think it started on a Tuesday or Wednesday. I registered on the Thursday, and I registered online, and I wasn't sure if the acceptance for my participation was immediate. But then the next morning, I kind of remembered of this event, and I was like, oh, okay, let me log in to see if I got like an approval. I saw that I was my badge was ready to be printed. It's a bit outside of Paris. And Dimitri, if there's something I discovered here in Paris, is that whenever you do an event outside of the inner ring of Paris, right, we call Paris like the 75 area, usually it means that you want to hold an event that you know people are going to protest. So you do it a bit as far and remote as possible so that people don't interfere it, right? That's a bit the rationale why the French royalty kind of went to Versailles. Is that whenever you're in the bee's knees, you know, in the beehive, right? Things get too hot, and you expect kind of people to revolt. So you hold it. It was in Paris Nord. I think it was called Villepinte. I'm not quite sure. I ended up Villepinte. So I ended up taking like these inter-regional kind of trains. They call it the RER, and it took me maybe, I don't know, 45 minutes to get there. And I had a little phone call with like a work meeting, and I was just pacing around, and I noticed, Dimitri, there was like a line of police cars pretty much at every single entrance. And I was wondering if I looked suspicious, because Dimitri, I cannot sit down and talk, right? I'm doing it right now for this live stream, but like I'm always pacing around, walking in circles when I'm on the phone. And the phone call lasted 30 minutes. I go through security with my jacket, whatever. I only had like a camera on me and a microphone. And I print my badge. Just nothing really happened. I hesitated whether I should put like a fake name, but I decided to go with my real name. And thankfully I did, because
around with something that said Rami Yahia on it.
Precisely.
Wow.
And well, the thing is that as soon as you go through the first checkpoint where once you print your badge, someone scans your badge, looks at your name, then they ask you for a piece of ID. To make sure that
we're gonna be playing recordings of your conversations with these Israelis, various Israeli cybersecurity companies. So when you were talking to them, they could see Rami Yahia up on your.
Yes, Dimitri, and I'll talk more about this, but they were not suspicious at all. And
hey,
it turns out
cybersecurity professionals, these guys are the world's leading spooks, and they couldn't figure out they were talking to a Palestinian.
Dimitri, they were convinced I was Israeli.
Jesus Christ.
They were convinced I was, to the point where I started believing it myself. I was like, did my parents lie to me? You know? So
you're far too nice to be an Israeli. Let's be clear about that. So sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
And then after I passed the first checkpoint where they check my ID, there's like a little welcome booth. And I asked a question that is extremely important to ask here in Europe. It's, am I allowed to record freely here at this conference? And the girl and the guy at the desk looked at each other, and they're like, we haven't received any instructions saying otherwise. Feel free to film whatever you want. So, and I was I mean, you'll see the footage. I was filming quite openly a lot of
Mhm.
things, including
Yeah.
the Ministry of Interior, the GIGN, the Homeland Security of France. I was recording, and I didn't have any issues. Yeah.
It's funny. I did this a couple of years ago, where we're not in France, but in Qatar. I managed, just like you, I found out while I was there for 3 days about a major weapons exhibition. At the last minute, I went there on the last day. I got in. I was surprised they let me in. And what even was more surprising is I was just walking around for hours filming everything, including my conversations with people and, high-ranking dignitaries and generals walking around. It was surprisingly open once you get in, but getting in can be tricky. So let's go then to some video. And I understand that this is the video we're about to show is when you were more or less walking in. And feel free to explain to us what we're seeing as we watch this. I just want to pause there. When I saw this, you can see in the upper right-hand corner, this is like, it looks like they've organized these pavilions by country. So that's Belgium on the right. And let's remember that this is Homeland Security. So this is like domestic policing. Look at these guys, man. These guys look like they look like soldiers in combat. On the right there, these dummies with all of this gear on them.
Dimitri,
I couldn't tell if we were at a domestic policing conference or if we were at, a hot war conference.
Dimitri, it gets a lot more insane than this, because not only is this for Homeland Security, but it's also for private security. So there's people with their own private security firms walking around. This guy's like, oh, I manage security at a couple of pubs and nightclubs, whatever. There's private investigators. And I remember organizing a talk at Concordia a few years ago, and someone was saying that all the research going into the military and all the weapons that the military has, as soon as they become a generation too old, it gets passed down to the military, to the police, Homeland Security.
Right. Let's continue. There in the distance, you can see in the right, just sort of center right, Germany's pavilion. All the usual suspects are there. Look at it. Look at those guys. What is that thing? Do you know what that thing is?
I'm not quite sure, but having spent a bit of time there, you see that little backpack with that 3 antenna? I believe again, I spent a bit of time there, so I know things more than I should. But this looks like it's drone jamming software.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It records radio activity, so it's either to measure frequencies emitted by cell phones, or it's to jam radars. And that turret might be a jamming software or jamming device for drones. So you aim at the drone, you kind of shoot it. Anyways, I hope that's what it is, because
I think you're right. But I'm no expert. Let's go on. You see there's the Swiss pavilion, the so-called neutral country. And that's so that's the introductory stroll into the premises. Just tell us, Rami, as you walked in, what was your overall impression of what you were seeing? Anything really stand out for you?
Dimitri, I've done my fair share of trade shows before. The trade shows I've been to were all for civilian use, for B2B, buying goods, home decor, books, fairs. It's the same thing. Truly, it's the same layout. It's like the booths are built the same way, only the end product is different. So I walked there and it really felt absurd. because you could play, I mean, the same way when you go to a book fair, you could play around with those books, bookmarks, whatever. You go to these like toy fairs, you could play around with the toys. There, the guns are all placed. You can pick one up, aim it, shoot, simulate, have fun. And there was really that absurd feeling that like this is a real industry. There's people that their entire day job revolves around death and destruction.
Right. So then, sorry, go ahead.
And I also wanted to say, Dimitri, is that like, again, I grew up fairly leftist, reading about these so-called evil police states like the Soviet Union, who were tracking you at every single moment of your day, and all that awful stuff that we got propagandized to hear. And I remember being there, and I was like, this is a whole different level of monitoring. Right. Where people, I mean, they're openly talking about being able to track phones from a phone number. Basically, they're all digitalizing kind of these maps where you could track where people are at all times based on metadata. Like whatever we were told us to fear about communism, Dimitri, what I saw there was 1,000 times more alarming. And there's one thing I also want to mention is that whenever I went to these booths, these military booths, and when you go on their websites, I didn't know too much about this whole thing about smart cities, but it really feels like there's a cross between smart cities, cybersecurity, and just militarization of the state. So we'll talk about this later on when we start talking about core sites. But this is really something that stood out because we talk about smart cities being able to go anywhere within 15 minutes, but it's also about leveraging data to make cities more efficient, but also more secure, but also make sure that the people are tamed and not revolting.
Right. Rami, there's now a little bit of static. I don't know if there's your microphone's rubbing up against something, but you were getting staticky there in the last 30 seconds. Could you just, no, it's the static is still there. Could you speak again?
Test.
Well, yeah, it's definitely staticky. I don't know what's going, something's going on with that microphone.
I'm going to change microphones. I'm going to use my laptop microphone.
Okay, thank you. All right, so you're walking around and you come across the Israel Pavilion, and this is the video you shot as that happened. And we'll just show that again because it's a brief clip. Check out how they make the word Israel all colorful and gay. So could you just talk to us in general terms about this pavilion? Like, how big was it? How many companies would you estimate were presenting there? And maybe a little bit of
this information is all public on the website, Milipol. You could actually go on the website, look at exhibitors, filter by Israel. But this specific pavilion, it seems like it was funded by the Ministry of Export of Israel. And that logo that you saw there, Israel, that's that's their brand. Whenever they have these like go visit Israel, promoting their tourism, that's the logo that they use. So it's to make it look more appealing, appetizing, and not this genocidal war state that it is. Trying to maybe fit that same Canada brand of being a little friendly little country, multicolor. How evil could a country be if it has a multicolor logo? So that's one thing. I filmed that. I mean, I was a bit like shy, getting too close to that booth. Keep in mind, that's the country killing my people, right? I'm Palestinian. So I truly tried to like dissociate myself, right? We're doing work
and these
here.
people are helping them to do the killing.
Of course. So like I was like, well, first of all, I got desensitized a bit already seeing people hold guns, pointing guns and shooting them. You see these massive trucks with like giant turrets on them. So you immediately get desensitized, right? You're at Disneyland. You're not at a war show. You're at Disneyland, and we're living in a simulated world. This is not. It truly doesn't feel like reality. So I just like started filming there, and then I got closer. It seems like it was maybe like 2 islands. The Israel booths. let's just say every island has maybe 8 booths. So I would say maybe 16 or so Israeli booths. There was a couple of other Israeli booths across the hall, but I would say maybe in total there was maybe, I don't know, 18 different Israeli companies represented there. Keep in mind, Dimitri, that I arrived there on a Friday at noon, 1 p.m. The show ended like at 4 p.m. That day. And keep in mind that Friday evening becomes Shabbat. So a lot of the Israeli companies seem to have left midday on Friday. So I only saw maybe like a handful of Israeli companies because they all had to pack and leave. And yeah.
Okay, so you spoke there to 3 companies, which we're going to take you through one by one. The 3 companies were called Parazero and Octopus Systems, which is probably the most interesting and revealing of the conversations, and then another company called Bura. So we're going to start with Parazero.
Dimitri, there was also CoreSite. Did we want to talk about CoreSite as well?
Oh, I missed CoreSite. Yeah, no. Okay, well, it looks like I think we are going to talk about CoreSite, but I omitted to mention it when I just made that list up. So let's go to Parazero. This is the website of Parazero, and it talks about the company having been founded in 2014 by 2 entrepreneurs in the desert city of Beersheba in southern Israel. And if you look down there in the 4th paragraph, it says, with over 10,000 operational units deployed across 5 continents, Parazero has become a global leader in drone safety. And then a little further down, 2 paragraphs, the 2nd paragraph from the bottom, in response to geopolitical developments, including military campaigns in the Middle East and the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, Parazero announced 2024 its entry into the defense market. So apparently it's exploiting the fact that Israel has gone hog wild in West Asia, and there's no end in sight to this disastrous NATO proxy war, to transition from being what appears to have been a civilian producer of drone technology to a military one. That's at least how I read this. And it announced its entry into the so-called defense market last year. And so we just want to share with you a little bit of information about the management team. So here are the top, the big enchiladas at Parazero. Ariel Alon is the chief executive officer, Regev Livni, the CFO, Oren Aviram, VP of sales, and Yuval Gilad, chief product and technology officer, presumably judging by the names, they're all Israelis. And just focusing briefly on the CEO, Ariel Alon, you can see there in the middle of the page, throughout my career, he says, I focused on project and business process management, primarily in the IT and cyber fields. In recent years, I focused mainly on the unmanned aerial systems industry across Israel, the US, EMEA, and APAC. I have held senior positions at Aerodrome Group, Voyager Labs, Atos Israel, as well as Elbit Systems, the murderous Israeli drone manufacturer, and also at Rafael Advanced Defense Systems, if not the most important, certainly one of the most important military industrial corporations in the genocidal Israeli entity. So that's the CEO's story. Now,
Dimitri,
before we get into anything you want to say about this company, and particularly before we show people the video and they listen to the audio, can you tell us about the products you were discussing with these people?
Yes. I also think we have a picture of the product, but I don't see it in our list here. Maybe I'll try to upload it. But essentially, what they built is the product that I saw. At least they have multiple products on their website. It's a kind of a gun that can. Well, it's basically a gun that could either be attached to a gun, a turret, or to drones. And what it does is that it throws a net to drones to basically get caught into the hélice. I don't know how to say this in English. The things that spin on the drone, right, to keep it flying. And the propellers. And
yes.
the drones then collapses as soon as the net hits the propellers. And I asked him, is that the most efficient way to intercept a drone? He said, well, usually there's like a 3-tier system to intercepting drones. The first one is you either try to bomb it, right? You intercept it with some anti-air defense. If not, you try to jam it. And at the last resort, if a drone is coming towards you to try to kill you, you basically just have to point the gun towards the drone because it's going towards you, right? So it should be easy to aim. And then when you shoot it, it will immediately intercept. So it's kind of like within the last 40 meters, using a net, as someone said in the comments, it's cheaper. But also their mission, Dimitri, is that they understood the unit economics of war. Iran was able to like build $500, $2,000 drones that are being thrown into the apartheid state, into the genocidal state. And Israel was initially intercepting these drones with $1 million anti-air defense systems. So the net is much cheaper, in some way probably reusable, and it's supposed to level down the playing field with Iran's cheap drones, Israel's cheap net system. So that's the logic behind this. Were you able to find a picture of the product?
I haven't found it, but we're gonna. Does it appear in the video we're about to show where the guy's got his laptop?
Yes.
Let's show the video while we're looking for. Okay, so here. So you're talking. What happens is you start talking to a guy. He pulls out his laptop and he's showing you some kind of promotional video, I think, which features this product you're talking about. And he says you can go ahead and film what I'm showing you. So this is what happened.
I'll rewind it for you.
Yeah, let's do it. That's wild. That's wild.
Right, so the drone's coming. Shoot the net. You can see the net open up.
And this is where at the moment?
It's operational in Israel.
Yeah.
Here, this is a good one. The drone's coming fast. Shoot, take it
But this
down.
is simulation. This is not actual footage, right?
Right. That was.
Now,
So you could hear me, Dimitri, say, where's this happening? He says, this is operational in Israel.
Yeah.
Right? So
when you think about it, in what context in Israel would they have put that to use? And it seems to me it would have been the northern border where Hezbollah was using drones extensively right up until November of last year, when this other fraudulent ceasefire went into effect in Lebanon. It was using drones extensively. So presumably that's where they had by far the greatest need for this product. Do you think that's fair? Did he actually mention Lebanon? Did he talk about the fighting on the northern border with Hezbollah?
No, I tried to be a bit discreet, Dimitri, going there, not to raise it. I mean, I let them talk. And believe me, Dimitri, Israelis love to talk. They were feeding me more information than I could ever ask for. I didn't have the intention, Dimitri, of doing this much content today. But on their website, they mostly talk about October 7th. And they have footage of drones flying over Israeli bases, where the drones then, Palestinian drones, end up dropping munitions. And they have these simulations on their website where they mention how they would have been able to intercept these drones on October 7th, where if they had used these weapons in the first place. But Dimitri, just before we show the footage, I just wanted to show this is what the gun looks like. The casing is 3D printed. The net would be attached at the little nozzle of the gun over here. Yeah.
Oh, that's the thing that shoots the net at the incoming drone.
Yes, and it could be attached to to either a drone, like for drone-to-drone interception, to a turret, or to a gun.
Wow. Okay.
You could.
So now we're right. So we're going to listen now to an audio recording of Rami's conversation with a representative. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to pull this off. So that let me just find the point at which this conversation begins. So this would start at 4:22. So you want to set this, you want to just tell us briefly what we're about to hear?
Yes, so I'm
Rami?
speaking to probably like a sales rep at Para Zero. I presented myself as just a cybersecurity consultant based in Canada. We actually tried to distort the voice because there's EU laws here restricting recordings without asking for permission, and just to not cause any, to take precautionary measures, we altered voices.
Okay, so let's hear what happened in this conversation.
Is it a drone gun? Counter drone gun. Yes. So it could detect the drones. So we intercepted with a net.
Okay.
With a net gun. So this is a net. With a pod that it just put away, sits on its. I don't have any samples because it's late. Yes, we put the pod on with the net. And you're able to aim and shoot and take down a drone from 35 to 50 liters.
And the net will be able to.
Yeah, then it opens up like in the picture.
So it's for larger drones, right?
All drones, all types of drones. We can make it fit exactly the type of drone that, for smaller drones, for FPV drones that are very fast.
What about like radar jamming? Are these?
No electronics. We complement those solutions. So we have companies that do jamming and cyber and all these things. And this is sometimes they don't work. Yeah, that's last resort. For soldiers, we feel that no other opportunity, and this is their last opportunity to contact yourselves.
Interesting.
What do you do?
Cybersecurity division.
Interesting. I'm sure there's a lot of
but actually in Canada the laws are changing with drones. So I'm looking a bit at some drone stuff. But the problem with so in Canada you have to have the drones can only manipulate from a line of sight.
Right.
But they're removing that law now so that you can use like drones to like automate
BV laws, some all these things. Yeah.
So but
Rami, could you just, before we continue, could you just explain to people what you were telling this guy about the change of drone laws in Canada? Because you were using some lingo there. You said line of sight, and I think I understand what you mean, but it took me a while to figure it out. What did you mean when
I didn't have like any backstory coming there, and then I saw myself based on what I saw. I just felt like I had to start recording, and I just came up with the easiest story that I could ever come up with. I learned it in China because there was all these things happening with drones there. For civilian use, by the way. And basically in Canada, you're not like, if you're flying a drone, you have to be able to see the drone at all times. And that makes it so that, if you're using it like in the far north in Quebec and you want to operate a drone from your house in Montreal, whatever, that's not legal, because if you cannot physically see the drone with your eyes, you're not allowed to fly it. But apparently the Canadian government is changing these laws so that you could fly drones remotely. And I used it as this is my new business here at this military conference. I'm just looking for drone monitoring.
Now, do you know, maybe this is too granular, but do you know whether these changes are going to allow just anybody to fly drones that are not within their line of sight, or is this, you're going to have to get a license or something? Is there going to be any kind of scrutiny about who is granted the freedom to do this?
My understanding, Dimitri, is that I think there's a specific weight that you can fly drones without having a specific license. I'm probably mistaken here, but maybe it's 500 grams, 1 kilo. I don't know. So these tiny little drones that you see in Best Buy or like these electronic stores, generally you're able to fly them because they're very, very small and very, very light. As soon as they start becoming heavier, you need to have drone operating licenses. And I didn't do enough research on this, and I couldn't honestly care any less. I just needed a story to carry on with this event.
Got it. So let's listen to the rest of your conversation with this creep.
Drone interception would not really be an issue in the civilian use piece that I'm looking for.
Sure.
I was impressed by the gun.
Well, thank you. It's this is just one platform. We can also put the same net pod that you can put on this. You can put it onto a drone. So there's a lot of different uses for it.
Did you take a look?
Yes, of course. Hold it.
So, but this is probably just like a regular mock-up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's 3D printed. It looks like.
Yes.
Oh, never held a gun before, so I don't. And it doesn't work if I click on it, right?
No. It's just a mock. But it's just battery powered, so you can take
the real one. This one has nothing at all. Oh shit! You actually put okay.
Yeah. So the safety comes.
Yeah, see, just the case is 3D printed, but
we use compressed gas. So there's no bullets and no gunpowder, so it's non-lethal. We're able to aim and shoot and take down the drone from.
Has this been used?
Yeah, it's used.
And it works?
If you catch the drone in it, 100% every time it'll come down.
If you catch the drone, so that's a big if, but sorry, keep going.
If you catch it in the net. Okay.
But the question is, how accurate is it at hitting the drone? It's very accurate. If you're talking about very close, you're talking in the last 45, 50 meters of a drone coming at you, which, by the way, if a drone's chasing you, the last 40 meters has to come straight at you in order to hit, so it'll be easier to target. Well, it's also, you don't have to hit the drone with a net. You just have to aim at the area.
That we'll get contact.
Exactly. Once it gets stuck in the propeller, that's it. It's nothing you can do.
It's used in Ukraine?
Not yet. We're working on it. So the drone's coming at you, or shoot the net, kicks on the drone. This is the drone's coming. Shoot the net, start open up.
And this is where at the moment?
It's operational in Israel.
Yep.
And this is gonna jump really fast. Shoot.
Okay, so this is simulation. This is not actual footage, right?
Right. That was simulation. We have some operational footage. We had added bits.
Yep.
It's operational in Israel, protecting military sites, checking borders as well.
Okay, and other than Israel, where is it being used? USA probably.
Not in Western Europe.
Western Europe. So like UK, France.
The first one we have.
Okay, so that's the end of that. Sorry, go ahead, Rami. Go ahead.
When I ask him where's it operational in Western Europe, and I insist on knowing which country, he says I'm not allowed to say the client list. The audio ended up a bit short here, but he was one of the wiser ones there, unlike the other companies that is going to come up here and some important information.
What's really interesting to me is, amongst many other things in this conversation, is that I'm just trying to think of a country in Western Europe that has need of a technology like this, where it's actually operational. Now, as far as I know, there's no Western European country that is actually engaged in defending itself. It has an actual ongoing need to defend itself from drone attacks. The only country in Europe where this is happening on any scale, and it's happening every day, is, of course, Ukraine. And he said that we're not there yet. He almost said it like wistfully, tragically. Oh, we haven't managed to crack that market.
We're working.
And what I find, notable about this conversation in this company is that I don't think anybody would believe that Israel is going to be that Israel would allow a company like this to provide its drone systems or anti-drone systems to Russian forces, of course, because Israel is a client state of the United States. So when he says we're not in Ukraine, I think what he means is we haven't yet managed to persuade the Ukrainian military to buy our product, but they're trying. They're clearly trying, which raises an interesting question that's beyond the scope of this live stream. The one I just want to raise is, why is the Russian government so tolerant of Israel and its government when clearly the Israeli military-industrial complex is either aiding or trying to aid the Ukrainian military in its war with Russia? That's just a question I raise. But as I say, I think that's beyond the scope of our discussion today. So let's move on to the next company you spoke with. And I think this is really the most sort of interesting one. It's a company called Octopus Systems. So let me just pull up here the image from the website of this creepy corporation. There you go. They have a fusion platform, they say. Octopus unifies vast data streams from diverse sources into a single AI-powered fusion platform, trusted by hundreds of organizations across defense, homeland security, critical infrastructure, smart cities, technology, and finance. Octopus enables real-time intelligence-driven decisions and actions to proactively counter evolving threats. So this is a lot of gobbledygook for somebody like me. Rami, you're much more technologically inclined than I am. What does that all mean? And can you tell us just basically what this company's products are?
So, Dimitri, I don't think you're the only one who has trouble understanding. These websites of these military companies really feels like sometimes they're purposefully cryptic and secretive in the way they talk. I could tell you what I understood. This company at Octopus over there, the guy, it seems like he described his software as a command and control center. So you have your data input points, whether it could be a camera, a watch list, whatever type of kind of monitoring devices that you have, audio, whatever you can really build to kind of all the metadata that you want to capture to kind of pinpoint an individual, you feed it into Octopus, and it kind of draws a portrait about this person. And then you could then match this person to like terror watch list if you're at a border. So let's just say in the case, for example, of someone coming across a border at an airport here in Paris, the gentleman at the border will kind of already have a picture of you, because when you scan your passport, there's a picture of you, or there's also sometimes cameras at the checkpoint. And then using some metadata, it's going to feed it into Octopus, where it will then draw a portrait of you, and then it could match your persona to either some whitelist or some backlists. And then he also says that he's able to integrate to other data points to then fetch your social media accounts. And then in this recording that I have, I tell him even private accounts, and he's like, yes, we can capture social media accounts and posts from private individuals. So basically, it's a command and control center. They don't really have any like hardware or any devices. You just connect all your devices to Octopus, and then Octopus kinds of builds a story behind this data that they have of you.
Sounds like a creepy product, man. So let's just talk a little bit about this company, shall we? The company, it turns out, although Israeli, has, as you can see there on the screen, it's in 28 countries, like has a physical presence there. One of them is Canada. And according to the website, its office is right up the road from where I'm currently sitting. It's a few subway stops north of where I am in downtown Toronto. And in a December 2023 article, the independent media outlet, The Breach, and I think we may have an image from that article. Well, in any case, The Breach, which did some fine reporting on this, there you go, revealed that a firm by a venture capital firm, which we're going to tell you about, by the name of AWZ, or Z for our American friends, based here in Toronto, like 2 blocks from where I'm sitting, invested $5.5 million in Octopus Systems. And there you can see The Breach. They highlighted the fact that the creep-in-chief of AWZ Venture Capital is the former Canadian Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, pictured there on the left. And I think it's fair to say, Rami, I doubt you'll disagree, that he is the most pro-Israel prime minister in the history of this country. And that's saying something, because they pretty much all have been fanatically pro-Israel. So I just want to show you, this is really something, this AWZ. It's been on my radar for some time, frankly, and I'm not going to get into why. It has to do with legal matters, and I'll leave it at that. But I didn't know that it had invested in this Octopus Systems Corporation. And in fact, I wasn't even aware that Octopus Systems existed until Rami told me. And here's the top dogs on in the management team. You can see there in the top row, third from the left, Stephen Harper himself. He's the partner and president of the advisory committee of this nefarious venture capital firm. To his right, on the right of him, our right, is Richard Fadden, the former CSIS director. CSIS being the Canadian Security Intelligence Service. It's the Canadian equivalent of the CIA. And in the second row, the first guy on the left, James Woolsey, former CIA director. And then right beside him is Tamir Pardo, former director, Mossad. Then Buck Revell, former FBI Associate Deputy Director. Richard Nesbitt, Strategic Advisor, Financial Services. I believe Nesbitt, he's like a titan of Canadian finance. I'm pretty sure that it was either him or his father founded one of the largest investment banks in Canada, which was later taken over by the Bank of Montreal. And then down at the bottom row, Jacob Frenkel. That name's familiar to me, Rami. He's strategic advisor. Do you know who that guy is? I'm sure encountered that name before?
Doesn't ring a bell to me.
Okay. In any case, this is like a who's who of the Canadian and American and Israeli upper echelon security apparatus. So this firm invests $5.5 million in Octopus system. So let's listen now to your conversation. It's about a 6-minute conversation with.
Sorry, Dimitri, just before we go there, can we put emphasis on the fact that the 3 top secret services of the world are on that strategic board? We're talking here about Canadian Secret Services, American Secret Services, the CIA, and the Mossad, all sitting together through this investment group, investing in Israeli cybersecurity companies. Like, this is, I don't know if it's shocking only to myself over here, but this is like the 3 secret services intertwined together. Like, truly, like, there's no business for these secret services. I mean, in general, I mean, in a more in a professional sense, I mean, you would expect these agencies to be like separate, individual. I mean, there's probably like Americans spying on Canadians. So, but these are the 3 former heads of these board of these organizations, all collaborating together to just to invest in Israeli cybersecurity companies, and then probably through some back doors bring them back to the Canadian Secret Services, American Secret Services, and Israeli Secret Services.
Right, and they're collaborating. This is important. They're collaborating. Whatever, sure that they have some ideological motivation for doing that, but they're collaborating to make money for themselves, right? And so these people, all of them, including the former Canadian Prime Minister, are trafficking on their political record in order to enrich themselves. Like, I'm sure that a big part of the reason why Stephen Harper is the top dog at this lucrative outfit is because he was the most pro-Israel Prime Minister in Canadian history. So these people are not only supporting an apartheid regime or working in the service of an apartheid and now a genocidal regime, but they're personally enriching themselves based upon their record of support for that regime. So let's listen to what this, as I say, it's about a 6-minute clip. If at any point during this audio recording you want me to stop, Rami, just let me know so that we can hear your explanation, because it is rather dense terminology for people who aren't familiar with these technological products. It can be a little bit hard to follow.
Rami, what do you guys do?
We are a data fusion AI platform. They're like consolidating, like a select command and control, where you integrate to all the different systems for.
Well, you said cybersecurity, right? No, for police, where okay.
Military, police, investigation. We integrate everything for, military and civil security systems, drone, UAV, but also we go for police or police vehicles, police system, and also we bring in web intelligence and online profiling and information and cyber. We bring it all in one command and control where you have a full event management, response, investigation, and we have AI on top.
So like at borders, you would have like someone brings in a passport, where you scan the passport, you can scan this passport, and are you able to then track the social media platforms from?
We can. If the person is, normally you don't do it because according to GDPR, you're not allowed. But if someone is on a watch list, then when he's now a suspect, then you are allowed to read his information for social media, Telegram, Instagram, TikTok.
But you guys already have this information, or you fetch it on demand?
We fetch it on demand.
Okay, so you don't have it until you want it.
But we also can match him on watch lists for face recognition and all. We also integrate to face recognition, license plate recognition, also. So we can bring all this information together to allow to have. We had here the French civil aviation was there.
Yeah.
They want to use our platform.
What did he say there? The French civil
aviation.
Okay, so they're maybe using it to screen passengers in airports, I guess, or anyways, let's continue with this conversation.
Phone fair monitoring people who are suspected people. Yeah, what do you do?
I do cybersecurity consulting, but what I'm looking into mostly right now is in Canada, we're changing the laws on drones. Before it was only within line of sight. and now it's going beyond line of sight. So basically, they're changing a lot. Yes, very clear. Well, because the thing is that in Canada we have like large fields. So the thing is that it doesn't make sense to just like be able to, I don't know, like you want to run like a circuit to protect your farm, your huge field. So we need to be able to do it without
Israel, we have everyone, all the cities, the police, all the tactical. They're using emergency response services. They're using many times automated drone.
But you guys have different laws.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to repeat, if you didn't hear that, it's like everybody in Israel is using drones. It's like the police, the municipalities, the regions, you name it. Let's
daycare across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So us, it's behind the line of sight. It's not allowed. You have to be behind line of sight.
Yeah. I heard that it's a problem in the confront that it has to be line of sight. So now they're changing it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So there's a lot of all the big Israeli companies, Ilbik, Israel Aerospace Industry. They all develop cyber protection against drone interception, drone man in the middle, drone jamming. Yeah. So cyber for drone is very strong in Israel. We are integrating. So we integrate to jammers and anti-drone, or we integrate.
You guys are the command and control center in Sahai, right?
We have multiple drones. We have many.
Oh, earlier.
Yeah, we have several municipalities. We have military projects for tactical, like combat platoon, where we also have application mounted on the tablet. So we're the command and control.
And the Israeli army is using this.
Yes. Also, not just Israel. Also, we did Africa. Several projects where we did in Asia. We have for Thailand. Thai police is our customer. We have the presidential protection unit. They use the command drones, facial recognition, manpower protection, perimeter security, protect the king and the prime minister, the government palace.
How much does the system go for?
They're not cheap.
And it's behind my price range, right?
Starting from $12,000-$15,000 a month before the initial setup cost for setting it up, integrating it.
Well, if you want it to work well, you have to pay.
What?
If you want it to work well,
you're only going for large organizations. We have here from France, we had the civil aviation, we had the Ministry of Interior Security. We're here looking at it for their control centers.
The response
and control. Yeah, we had we also work on critical infrastructure. We do maritime protection. We're integrating to radars. That's a big Navy. Our company is 50 people. It's pretty small. All engineers, all software engineers. We have the UK, in Singapore, and in Mexico.
But they work for us. Or
they work outsourced there. Engineering, we are 50, but abroad we have another but they're using it. Normally, we work with partners, large partners, because normally we're part of a solution.
Okay.
We're not standalone.
Yes, of course.
So we have, big, like we're competing with Thales. Yeah, so we could be the part of the command and control that Thales puts, and also so although we are competing with Thales and Palantir and giants, we are.
Okay, so they're competing with Palantir. Who's Thales? What can you tell us?
Thales is this very big French military company.
Right.
I don't know too much about them, but ever since I heard the name Thales, you ended up noticing these patterns. But Dimitri, he mentioned the French Interior Ministry, French Civil Aviation, Thai Police. Again, for Israelis, it's just Africa. So he said Africans are using this tool. And of course, the Israeli government.
He also said Mexico.
What is that? Monaco.
Mexico.
Yeah.
No, he said Mexico. Yeah,
Mexico.
And the UK. Yeah. What the hell is Mexico doing? It's supposed to have a left-wing government, and it allows these creeps to sell their cybersecurity AI
earlier.
Sorry, go ahead.
Dimitri, earlier you said that they have offices in 28 countries. Dimitri, they're only registered in 3 countries, right? They're registered in Israel, of course, but in some way, the headquarters are actually in Canada. So the Canadian office actually, according to the breach, owns 2/3 of the company. So this is a joint Israeli-Canadian company that is providing software to the Israeli government to commit war crimes, and it's outsourcing its product to Mexico, UK. It seems like they're working on this contract with the French Interior Ministry. Hopefully with the release of this video, they won't.
with the French civil aviation, Thai police, and of course, African governments. That's what the guy says.
Right. Okay, so let's listen to the very end of this, which is particularly juicy.
Okay, but Dimitri, just pause one more time. One more time.
Yeah.
Again, me at this point, I'm severely confused. Severely confused why this guy's telling me all of this. He says
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Yeah.
Okay.
When we finish the tell people what happened. Okay, let's just listen to the rest of this.
So you're a consultant for cyber? Yeah, but smaller projects, really. Like this is nowhere near. Yeah, well, we have a registered company in Canada. We have an American company in Canada. Our investors are coming. Ruby. Yeah, well, you are Montreal? From Montreal, yeah. You know Montreal, of course. And really nice. So, yeah, and they want like a Canadian office to invest in. Yeah, as a Jewish investor, some of the biggest billionaires in Canada are Jewish, and they put their money in defense tech, right? So,
Wait, some of the biggest billionaires in Canada are Jews, and they're investing in defense tech. Wow, this amazing. This guy, that's I think the second or third time he asked you who you were, so he's clearly curious, but he just keeps going. So let's listen to the last few seconds of this.
Yeah, so we use also in banks. We did a lot of projects for Canada, by the way. We did CIBC Bank, Canadian NPO Bank. We did York Police, which is around out of Toronto.
York Police, CIBC, one of the 2 or 3 biggest banks in Canada.
The police, we did.
And how did they find you?
We just partners around the world that we worked with, and we find them. But we work with, we did something with Air Canada.
Air Canada, the largest airline in Canada.
In Mississauga. We
Canada's 4th or 5th biggest city.
have AltaLink Power from Calgary.
The largest regulated energy provider in Alberta, where Stephen Harper is from.
AltaLink. It's a local power supplier in Calgary. Okay, yeah, because in Quebec, it's we don't have one power supplier.
There's a new commercial project called The Well, very fancy in Toronto. So they're working there. There's also.
Did you make out what he said there? A big fancy commercial project? The Well? Do you know what he said
It's called
there?
The Well. Yeah, it's called The Well.
So like some big shopping mall? What is it? Do you know?
The Well, Toronto.
Anyways, let's keep going.
It looks like a shopping mall. Yeah.
Okay.
The Jewish communities. Oh, yeah, enough.
He says the Jewish communities are using, he hasn't specified which ones are using their technology.
Africa, the biggest telecom companies. Yeah. It was a pleasure.
So-
Enjoy your time. Yeah, talk soon.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So Rami, tell us now what happened. How did that conversation come to an end? It's not on the recording, but how did it come to an end?
The recordings got edited. They got chopped off. I didn't give proper instructions to the editors. They cut off the most important parts, Dimitri. But we love our editors. Basically, he says many Jewish organizations, Jewish community centers in Canada use our software. And then he stops. Then he's like, "You're Jewish, right?" And then me, I'm like thinking, this is all happening in, by the way, a quarter of a second. But in my mind, time is flying so slowly, and I'm doing math and I'm computing, and I'm like, should I say that I'm Palestinian? Should I say my mom's ethnicity, nationality, which is Lebanon? Or should I say that I'm Jewish? Because the guy is just assuming that I'm Jewish. And then this whole time I'm like, well, I'm scared of getting caught in a web of lies. If I say that I'm Jewish and then he tells me about some holiday happening next week that I have no idea about, I'll be caught on a web of lie. So I said, no, I'm Lebanese. Because if I would have said Palestinian, Dimitri, it would have been awful.
Dead probably at that stage. You would have been a dead
so I said I'm Lebanese, and then all he says is a lot of Lebanese are doing well financially in Africa, and then he just stops talking, and then within 2 minutes I'm gone.
Right.
So yeah, I was not able to know which Jewish community centers were using his software.
Yeah.
And that's the last piece of gold he gave us.
It's amazing. Again, I come back to what I said at the outset. These guys are supposed to be world-class security professionals. And you would think if he was concerned about whether or not you're Jewish. He would have established that at the outset before he started flapping his gums and telling you all of this stuff. But hey, man, what do I know? I'm not a security professional.
Another recording that we're going to get to, it starts later on the recording. I decided to edit out the part, but he's like, Rami Yahia, that's a Jewish name. Rami is from the root word of health or something along those words in Hebrew. And then Yahya, I know Yahya is a prophet in Islam, and it's the Arab word for I think Prophet John.
Right.
But so these guys actually assumed that, and they were like, well, there's people in Israel with the name Rami Yahia and they're Jewish. So I think he actually assumed I was Jewish and not a Palestinian, because, well, why would a Palestinian go to an Israeli booth? Or they think so lowly.
That's why. It never occurred to me.
So lowly of us.
Right. So before we go to the next company, I just wanted, because we admitted to show this. This was a photograph you took at the Israeli pavilion. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to get us out of the YouTube share screen. There you go.
But
this is what they had. And it's just amazing to me, that the French government is allowing this. They're sitting there openly promoting, Israeli military gear as Israel is carrying out a genocide. Wow. Okay, so let's go to the next company. You were going to say something, Rami. Did you want to add anything before we leave the question of Octopus?
I just want to say that Octopus, The Breach, wrote an article. We briefly spoke about this. It was published by Anas Ambry.
That's the article on the screen.
They were talking about how Octopus is using its software. Well, they test in Gaza. They then export it to the Greek refugee camps to monitor on the Syrians, the Palestinians in these refugee camps. And then at Milipol, when these software are tested and ready for export, they then expose them at Milipol for Homeland Security. So there's a pipeline of Gaza to European refugee camps to a city near you, or to the Homeland Security state to then use it against our own population. So really, like, this complementary reporting from The Breach that was done long ago before us, I think this is January 2025, is eye-opening, and I'm very grateful to Anas Ambry. I spoke to him. Tomorrow I have a call with him so that we can maybe get to the bottom of this.
You definitely should share your findings with Anas. But again, you're absolutely right that this, as we say so often on Reason to Resist, this our support for this murderous regime is going to come back to bite us in the ass, and it already is in many, many different ways. So let's move on then to the next company you encountered in the Israeli pavilion. It is a company called Coresight, correct? Let me just pull up the image from its website. There it is, the hidden costs of missing real-time threats. Critical information often goes unnoticed in standard video footage, endangering visitors and staff. Our facial intelligence technology empowers security teams to act decisively. Check, identify individuals on watch lists. Check, flag unauthorized access to restricted areas. Check, detect patterns of shoplifting, burglary, and fraud. And then, in the right there, they have it's a promotional video where they're showing how their facial recognition technology works. On its website, Coresight heavily promotes a product called API, and it describes it in the following terms. Coresight's API is an advanced facial recognition solution that provides industry-leading accuracy in the most demanding of environments. Coresight's API technology provides powerful recognition capabilities in extreme low light, low quality images, as well as tough angles and partially covered faces. Furthermore, Coresight's signature-based technology enables facial recognition without the need to store sensitive data, such as face images. Get this, thus balancing innovation and efficiency with privacy to comply with regional policy regulations. So it looks like what that sounds like is, the lawyer in me speaking, is they found a way to circumvent privacy laws and enhance their facial recognition technology, because they're able to help their customers identify faces in challenging environments without storing what they call sensitive data. So they're circumventing. That's how I read this. They're circumventing privacy laws. Not necessarily in an illegal way. It's just they found a loophole, and they're going to run with it. So now the management of CoreSite, I just want to show you, includes a character by the name of Tony Porter, who caught my eye. This is an Israeli company, okay? But Porter is the chief privacy officer. Okay, so this is the guy who helps the company, circumvent privacy laws or find loopholes. Tony was appointed surveillance camera commissioner by the UK Home Secretary in 2014. So he was a government functionary and fulfilled the role for 7 years. He set up the national surveillance camera strategy, established a suite of surveillance standards, and produced guidance to law enforcement on the lawful and ethical use of facial recognition systems. He has a combination of business and law enforcement expertise. He's an intelligence specialist whose experience spans community and business management, finance sector, international counterterrorism, and serious and organized crime. As police commander, he led counterterrorism investigations for the UK for the London Olympic Games 2012. So here again, you have somebody who established himself or herself in a government position, publicly funded. Taxpayers were paying this guy's salary, and now he's trafficking in the stature that he established as an employee of the government, the British government, to enrich himself in a business that basically is complicit in Israel's various heinous human rights violations. That's the world we live in here in the West, for folks. These are the people who are running the show, both at a government level and in the private sector. So let's move on then from good old Tony. And before we listen to your conversation with the CoreSite representative at Milipol, could you tell us a little more about the product you were discussing with him?
Yeah, so Dimitri, I have a little picture here. I used one where we can't really see the guy's face just for privacy reasons, although he was aware I was taking this picture. You could see he's looking at me. And I did ask him if I could take a picture. So basically the product is a camera that is attached to a software, and that software is able to have some insane image processing, facial recognition software. Even if you're all pixelated, even if it's dark at night, even if you're far away, this software has the ability to identify who you are. Their website compares their software to competitors, and they claim to be 20 times more efficient. Even this guy that I spoke to, who says he's been working in facial recognition for the last 5 years, he says this is the most insane product he's ever seen. And what it does is that you have some input, which is a camera. In this case, it's a webcam. In the case of, like he says, it could be replaced with CCTV, body cam, drones, any type of video source. And it's able to recognize someone very quickly and then do a check through a whitelist or a blacklist in, I think on the website it says like 0.01 milliseconds. It could check for a match through this whitelist or this blacklist. So again, this looks like it's very useful for police officers wearing body cameras if they want to identify someone, border security if they want to identify people that are on a watch list, or so basically it's monitoring.
So is it your understanding, you may not know the answer to this, Rami, but is it your understanding that this facial recognition technology could be, anybody could buy it as long as they're willing to pay the price? Or is this something they're only selling to approved customers? Like if some billionaire says, I want to have a team of people who can go around and facially recognize anybody anytime in a nanosecond, could that person buy this technology as long, because they have the money to buy it? Or is it only for governmental and
I asked him this question, Dimitri. I said, well, who's using this? First of all, his answer was everyone. So I think that answers your question, Dimitri. Everyone. He didn't say every company, every state. He just said everyone. But I also asked him, would like a shopping mall, would a Walmart be a customer of yours? He says, absolutely. So this is a tool used to just scan people, match them to a list, and then take decisive measures based on the match.
Okay, so let's listen to your conversation with the CoreSite guy.
Basically, any video stream, live stream, videos, whatever. Privacy enabled, so you upload obviously.
You've probably uploaded your face here,
Yes, yeah.
and then said I'm a threat, basically. Okay.
So you know, part of, let's say, the regulations to the EPR and applies ethical and moral use. You can't, you know, vote everyone. You can only do, let's say, a few people, limited list of people in your watch list. But as soon as they're in the list, there's a match, and they start to recognize. So you know, even literally we're quite close to the camera, but you can see the guy over my shoulder on the
Yeah.
stream, dude. What the fuck? Yeah. So this is just from the webcam.
Because this is not for military use, because I mean you wouldn't use a regular webcam.
No. This is just for the exhibition.
Oh, okay, but you can put like a better camera.
You'd use real cameras, as to, you know, drones or whatever. Literally any video source.
That's very
You know, like you can see, even though this is blurry, it's a very shit image. There's still a lot of data that we, you know, so use and recognize me. It's built for military use, so
Where's this being used at the moment?
everywhere. Like we're a global company, so basically a lot of, say, governmental, military,
Airports under these.
Sorry, what did he say there, Rami? A lot of what?
He said local and military, I think.
Local and military. Okay. And sorry, before we continue, so could you just explain to us what just happened there? He said to you something about if you're on a watch list. What did you understand him to be saying at that point in the conversation?
So keep in mind, I'm in front of a camera. There's people walking behind me. There's a girl, I don't know, like 50, 60, 70 meters behind me who just did this test with us. And I think she was added to like some watch list for the simulation. And he's like, I'm not sure if you could see that girl on the screen. You could see that she's flagged. And she was like 70 meters behind. You could barely see her on the screen. She's like a tiny little pixel. And he's like, see, we're able to like recognize her. So
No way.
yeah. So this is, I think this is like when I started swearing, I was like, holy shit, this is pretty cool.
Okay,
But also, I think it's important to mention that on their website, they advertise smart cities. So cities have cameras feed to core site basically is tracking you down. So all these people talking about conspiracy theories about smart cities coming out of this this event, I'm mind blown by these smart cities, Dimitri, and I think we should all be.
Absolutely. Okay, let's listen to the last couple of minutes.
Box that makes it, let's say, life a little bit easier for them, because you try and have, for example, a police officer to remember like 2,000 faces. That'll never happen. Yeah, exactly. You have what they call super recognizers, with your big sources, and okay, they're very good at it, but when you get to like 2,000, 5,000, 500,000 people, it's not a chance.
That's very cool. And how much does the software like this go for? I mean, this is.
It depends on the use case. There's different levels of it. Depends how many channels you're going to use. It's all about value for the system. So we try and make sure that it's actually value for you. So
could this be used for like private security and like this is true.
You can if you have some body cams that can live stream, then you can just take the body cam straight away. Obviously, like dog cameras or literally any video source. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
So it's not just for border control. It could also be for like for security for like a retail store. Yeah, a big chain, a little Walmart or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have to stop there for a second, Rami, because I'm not sure exactly how to interpret what he's saying, but it sounds to me like what he's saying is that the company has a big database of suspects, people on a watch list, ne'er-do-wells, and you pay for access to its database. Because he said you asked him how much it costs. He says it depends on how many channels you use, right? And so what that sounds to me like is they've got like this huge collection of data, and what you're going to pay depends on how much of that data you want to be able to access. Is that what you understood?
So what I understood by channels, it could be by the entry points. So let's just say if you have 1 body cam, 10 body cams, 100 body cams, the price is different. But I believe speaking to him, he mentioned that they have access to government watch lists that they could then like kind of directly access to, right? So let's just, I don't know, Interpol or some local police. So they're able to like leverage those. So I think you could get access to these white lists, use your own whitelists, and you also pay by the number of like monitoring cams that you want to integrate to the software.
Okay, there's about a minute left. Let's listen to the rest of this.
So there's actually, this is what we call it. Well, in our software we call it interest, blacklist, whitelist. So if you're on the list, you get the alerts. We have the other way of whitelist. So if you have like a data center or something like that, you enroll all your staff. If someone that's not part of the staff appears in the camera, then
I used to work at CGI back then, and we were in a SOC doing like cybersecurity, and we always had to like scan an eye to like enter an office space. Like we had permission to without us saying, and that's be like less intrusive in some way.
Yeah. So this like it's literally as soon as you by pop out the camera, as soon as you come in, that's it. If it's literally you walk up to the camera, especially for access control, you have a super nice, clean, big face, and just be it.
How's the reception so far?
What's that? Sorry.
How have been people reacting?
It's fine. Like the main thing really is there's a lot of like GDPR is the main one. As long as you can lie, and as long as you.
But GDPR is not. I mean, in Carabao, I think we don't necessarily have. Do we have different laws?
Yeah, but you have something similar, it's just then differently. You know, we have deployments out in the US, and they are actually a bit worse than here.
They have stricter laws in the US.
Yeah, in some states. Yeah. So we had the joy of one of the worst ones, which is a good thing because we got it through and working there. So, you know, if you got some more of America, they use facial recognition.
And this is from Israel, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And you're based out there, what?
Not me. No, I'm sales. Yeah.
So it's
I'm not even sales. They've all left me.
Oh yeah,
They've all vanished. Like
because it's too late now.
yeah. They've disappeared. They left me to like take down the system and
Okay, and they're going on vacation.
Yeah, exactly. I know it might have been very good. I've been working with facial recognition for about 5 years with a couple of companies.
This seems to be like a better one.
Yeah, the evolution has just dramatically gone up. You know, like I said, we're picking up like
That's insane.
just from a little HD webcam. If it's a real camera with a real lens, you know, it's even better. But
So before we move on to the fourth and final company, I just want to share with you all, Rami, you don't know this story, I've never told you, but I have personal and painful experience with facial recognition technology because back in the late 90s, I took a break from the practice of law. I'd been working on Wall Street for a number of years, and I was kind of grossed out by the practice of law. So a friend of mine who was a Wall Street lawyer who had studied at Yale and Stanford, really talented lady, she created something called, she created a professional blackjack team. And these were people who were doing card counting to acquire an advantage in blackjack. And she invited me to become a member of the team. So this is, by the way, it's perfectly legal. There's nothing illegal about it. And we quickly learned that the casino industry, this is back in the 90s, okay, almost nobody had facial recognition technology. And the pioneers of this technology, based on what I know, were actually the casino industry who were using it to, identify people they didn't want in the casinos. And we learned, this would be 99, that we had been put into a database by a casino industry security firm by the name of Griffin Investigations, which had acquired one of the early versions of this technology from a company in Boston named Biometrica. So this is before there was any facial recognition technology being used in airports, on streets. It started in casinos. And so I ended up suing them. I sued these people under privacy legislation in the United States for using facial recognition technology on me. And I ended up settling the case, but at some point, I got the most unusual invitation from the CEO of Biometrica, who wanted to persuade me that his company was just providing a technology, and the people who were really infringing on my rights, my privacy rights, was the casino industry detective firm that had licensed its technology. They were the ones who were putting my image in their database without my consent. And so he invited me to go to Boston, and he gave me a tour of the floor of the manufacturing facility, the software facility, and I met top engineers and everything. And at the end of the day, I did decide to let them out because I was convinced that, in fact, the real claim that I had was against the investigation firm based in Las Vegas. But I'll tell you, man, I never occurred to me back then that this technology would become ubiquitous. It's everywhere now. It's everywhere. It's becoming increasingly sophisticated. and it has become a major means by which our right to privacy is being eroded. Not by any means peculiar to Israel, of course, although they've used that technology so extensively in Israel in the course of oppressing the Palestinians and killing Palestinians, that they've learned a lot. They've learned about many ways to improve the technology, and now they're, again, this is how Israel's economy benefits from its militaries and security forces' atrocities against Palestinians. In any case,
Dimitri,
yeah, go ahead.
Dimitri, before we jump, we were going down some rabbit hole, right, preparing for this, and I'm not sure if you reached this, and I'm sure you didn't because you would be all up in arms, but did you know that AWZ has 3 seats? AWZ Ventures has 3 seats on the board of directors of CoreSite, and they are a huge investor behind CoreSite. It's one of their passion, like their flagship investments. And this information is on their website. You can see their board of directors, and it's the founding partner, manager, whatever, the CEO of AWZ.
So it's not just, so just people understand what you're saying here. This is the firm that was
backing Octopus,
and the guy Woolsey from the CIA, and the guy from the Mossad, and the former head of CSIS, the Canadian CIA. They're all they're all part of this entity. So you're saying it's not just Octopus Systems, it's also CoreSite.
And we don't have information on Octopus to know how many seats they have on the board. But on CoreSite, when you click on their website, you click on their board of directors. The CEO of AWZ Partner, forgot what his name is, but Yigal, God, I forgot. And his 2 other henchmen are on the board of directors of CoreSite. And this is that same Canadian firm, Dimitri, that you said they're 1 block away from you. They are the main backers of CoreSite. They have access to all of that data, and it's all in the hands of those, of these people we just exposed, and how crooked their board is.
Wow, who knows how far those tentacles go? Let's move on to the last one. We're going to continue, by the way. You can be sure that Reason to Resist is going to continue to investigate AWZ and its many investments in the security sector. So the last company representative you spoke with was from an outfit called Bura, Bura Cyber Solutions. So here's a
bit of context before this. I come up to this booth. This guy says, "Rami Yahia, you're Israeli, right?" I'm like, "Oh no, I'm Lebanese." Then he's like, "Lebanon, this is the land of Feiruz, the greatest singer. She's my queen. I'm an idol. She's my idol." Then he named another Greek woman who's supposed to be like the same caliber of Feiruz. Maybe you know who I'm talking about. I forgot her name. And he's like schmoozing with me. He's like, "I'm Israeli from Tunisia." So he's like trying to say we're brothers. I mean, he's killing my people. Even if I'm actually Palestinian and half Lebanese, but I mean, he's killing both of them.
Yeah.
And then he was Tunisian from Jerba, and talking about how he's trying to act like all friendly. And that company has like 3 products. And he's like, "Well, since you're from cybersecurity, I'll talk to you about a specific one," which is basically he developed a tool that allows you to find the location, like find the location of a cell phone based on the phone number. So essentially, you give it a phone number, it'll tell you where the device is within a 2-kilometer range. And then once you're within that 2-kilometer range, you have a device that will send an SMS to the phone, and then it measures the reception quality of the SMS to know where the phone is, to like a 50-meter uncertainty to know where precisely is.
That's horrifying. So Bura's website says the company was founded by a team of, quote, seasoned cyber intelligence experts with over 30 years of domain experience. And the website says that the company offers products in the fields of social media intelligence and deep and dark web and AI facial profiling. What do you understand the phrase deep and dark web to mean, Rami? Do you have any sense of what that is?
So the dark web, it's some hidden backside of the internet that is accessed through like some onion Thor network. I took some cybersecurity lessons in university, but I must admit I wasn't paying attention enough. I was too busy being part of the Palestinian group and running this BDS campaigns. But basically, it's like some peer-to-peer proxy web browser where you access websites through other people's devices in some way. So it's like and then it loads up a page, and these websites are not hosted on some big servers that like at GoDaddy or whatever, in the cloud, but rather like peer hosted. And the dark web is where you can buy like a list of credit cards, you could buy drugs, you could buy weapons, you could buy all those types of illegal products. But in the dark web, you can know if like your private information is being sold there. So it checks the regular web, right? So let's just say, Dimitri, if you want to know if your passport information is available, if it's public, they'll check on the deep web, which would be maybe like the World Wide Web, and then the dark web, which is this whole thing that you've probably never accessed.
Right. So let's listen then. You had a couple of minute conversation with this representative. And by the way, before I play this for you, I tried to find out the identities of the management of this thing, and maybe I missed it, but I couldn't find any human being actually identified on the website. They're being very secretive about, who actually runs this thing and who the top members of their team are. So anyways, here's Rami's conversation with a representative of Bura.
We can find the phones in different locations, etc. Active and passive. We develop a product. Passive means that nobody can know that we have using what we call the active BTS. Okay.
What do you need to know which phone you want to target?
Telephone number. Telephone number. If you give me telephone number, I find by geolocation the location plus minus the area, and then I send my device 2 kilometers in a half.
Okay, so you have a curse scan to know where, let's say
you are. Yes, I'm using SS7 technology. Yes.
Okay, so then you know within 2 kilometers where it is. Then you send a device to know exactly where.
Exactly. And this is the latest technology that existing today that I developed. This passive locator, and it can do the finding the phone by passive modes. Why? Because in the active mode, you become a fake BTS. That you use what we call, you used to be the middleman with the telecom. Here, I'm not using any fake BTS. I'm measuring the quality of the SMS between the phone and the antenna. And based on the communication, I know the location. And if they have silence, I will use the next product that I develop is this one, the management system, the command and control, C2 for the anti-drone. The big problem is anti-drone because we have blacklist vehicles. Number 2, how to solve the problem is the key. Will you jump? Will you intercept? Will you use kinetic? And which kind of sensor you will put in your system? Acoustics, RF, voice, video, what? So I decided to build the management using all the sensors that I know, familiar, and everything.
And it's being used?
Yes, it's working. Now I'm extending, and I'm here to present it.
I'm Rami.
So I just want people to bear in mind, you think about what you just heard, I don't understand the intricacies, and I'm going to invite you, Rami, to talk about what you understood, how this product works, if you could explain to the best of your understanding. But I just want to say that one thing I have been able to glean from this conversation, is about the third time I've listened to it, is that we're talking here about a technology that it enables its user to pinpoint where somebody is, right? Using their cell phone. And we know for a fact that Israel has been using people's cell phones to locate them and then murder them. And not just murder them, but murder people who are in the immediate vicinity, oftentimes innocent bystanders. And that the people themselves who are being targeted are oftentimes innocent. There's no evidence in the vast majority of cases that they've actually done anything, let alone something that merits capital punishment. So you're talking here, this guy is talking to you about a technology that is used by Israel to murder people. Is that fair? Okay.
I mean,
so how do you go ahead?
I mean, why would Israel want to know where a phone is? This is a genocidal state, Dimitri. No checks and balances, no due process. It's kill and then ask for forgiveness later.
Or they don't even ask for forgiveness.
They don't ask for forgiveness. But so I mean, and then when this is not in the audio, I think our editors cut it out. But basically, I asked him, "Does it work?" Then he says, "If it didn't work, we wouldn't be here." And then he gestured with his hand, like the Mossad would have basically killed him. Now, obviously, I don't know if he's just bluffing, and just saying this to make it seem as if his technology is actually strong or not. He seemed like he was kind of a reseller in some way, because I mean, he has like 3 different products on his website, and generally when you're like manufacturing a product, you try to do one thing very well rather than like if that product worked really, really well, you wouldn't need to develop 2 other more products, right?
Right.
So this is what I kind of assumed, but just I mean, the way what I was able to understand from this, Dimitri, is that this guy is developing products, and he's in cahoots with the rest of the Israeli security apparatus. And they're all working together. And we spoke about this before this phone call, Dimitri, but I was saying that it really feels like this is all one big company. All of these different companies, like there, we see that it's all centered around AWC, funding all of these different organizations. It's backed by the Israeli Ministry of Export. They're fighting a genocide in Gaza to be able to then build a brand for these products. So it just feels like it's like semi-autonomous entities, but all part of a single organ.
Right. So let's. I just want to. We're done now with the Israelis, and the discussions with people from Israel and Israeli corporations at Milipol. But we also, just before we close it out, we want to share with you some of the video that Rami took while he was there. It's quite something. So let's start with the big guns video. Let's see, where did this go? There you go.
What are we looking at here, Ram? So I think this is like a German company. And I just I took a little break, of like walking around, and I just stood there, and I was just like having like a bit of a moment. Like I was just soaking it in. And I was like, this footage that you just played really summarized where I was. This is a Disneyland for people to play war. I mean, these are like these kids on this screen, Dimitri. They're not older than 21 years old. You have to be 16 years old to attend this conference, over 16. So these guys are like 17 to 18, I don't know, holding these guns that can like obliterate someone. And they're just, God knows what's going through their mind, holding it, pointing it, They're just like, this summarizes where I was. I was at a gathering of people that are looking to colonize, pillage, destroy the world and the poor people within their own countries. This is for Homeland Security. And people are just like having the time of their lives. And I just took this picture, and I remember when I was filming this, and I was like, I need to go home and shower. I feel dirty.
Now, as I mentioned at the outset, this thing is basically organized by the French Ministry of the Interior, and based on what I saw, the videos you showed me, it was kind of the star of the show. And here's a video which kind of shows the prominence it had. Oh, that's not the one. Sorry. Where are we? Remember, these people are supposed to be protecting the citizenry of France. Do they look like they're on your side? Sorry, go. What is that thing, Rami? Do you know what that thing is?
Which one?
It kind of looks like a stationary bicycle as without a seat. This thing directly in the center of the camera.
You're talking about like this device that looks like it's on.
It's
like,
it's actually that's like a robot of some kind, right?
So I believe this is for demining. So in France, they're very strict. If you forget a bag in a metro or a train, they'll just assume there's a bomb in it. So I think this is for to if there's a forgotten bag or anything, they could then like dispose of it.
Right. So I think we have one or two more videos that we may be willing to, or able, I should say, to share with you. Maybe I'll show you the Belgium setup over here. This was the, oh, sorry. How old is that kid, Rami?
What's that?
How old do you think that kid is?
I have no idea. They were all just like, look at this. Look at this.
This guy in the suit. Look at
this.
Oh my God. Jesus. That's scary stuff, man. Is there anything else you wanted to show before we call it a day, Rami? I think you might have had one or two other interesting videos there.
Did I
had, there was so many of them. It was hard to choose. Maybe we'll close it out with FN Defender. There we go. Where did FN Defender? Oh, that's yeah, that's just there seemed to be a lot of advanced firearms
for homeland use, by the way, huh?
Right. Right. Wow. Okay. So, Rami, do you think we have time for a few questions from our audience?
We do.
Okay. Folks, why don't we, and by the way, I see a comment from Exile the Knights of Malta now. I instinctively don't like casinos. Nobody's going to drag me to another concert or casino. I feel exactly the same way. I can't stand going into casinos. That was, playing blackjack was an interesting experience. I had a lot of fun because of the people I did it with, but those places are cesspools, man. In any case, any questions from our audience? We can keep it focused, on Rami, what he saw and did at Milipol. But if you want to talk about any of the other subjects we've been covering, we can take some questions in the few minutes remaining to us.
Dimitri, what are your, just while we wait for the questions, any thoughts or comments about this report? Do you think there's any grounds that we can have against any of these companies based in Canada?
That is a question that I have been mulling over for some time. I'm particularly interested in AWZ. What you've actually revealed to us here today is relevant to that question, because it's been hard for me to obtain information about what exactly AWZ has been investing in, but now we have a lot more insight into that than we did. So stay tuned. But if you're listening out there, anybody from AWZ, know that you are in our legal crosshairs.
And Dimitri, like as Canadians, we know that CIBC Bank, I don't know, maybe like the third largest bank in Canada, Air Canada, the airline that we kind of have to use to fly to Europe, or I mean, it's our flag carrier. York Municipality. What were the others? The other companies that are based in Canada? The Well,
Altalink.
Like, do we have? I mean, I would expect Canadians to ask for clarity about whether these contracts are real, and if so, I mean, we should be interfering against these contracts. And the other thing I wanted to say is that, remember the Canadian government was saying that they've put restrictions on the import and export of Israeli weapons or weapons that were supposed to be exported to Israel. But these are software. So there's probably very little regulations limiting the import of Israeli software. So in some way, we're still funding the war machine through these softwares.
Okay, so we got a bunch of questions coming in. Quick from Dirk Diggler, what's on your agenda for the next week? I've been trying real hard not to talk about this 28-point peace plan for Ukraine because the whole thing is just a big farce as far as I'm concerned. But I'm finally going to bite the bullet and doing a report upon this. Tomorrow we're going to be publishing a report on that. We're going to be interviewing Ajamu Badaka, a frequent guest on Reason to Resist, about what is happening in Venezuela. I'll be interviewing him tomorrow. We're also going to be interviewing an Iranian academic who currently resides in the United States about the potential for a blow-up of the war again between the genocidal Israeli entity and the Islamic Republic of Iran. And I expect we'll have back on the program this week John Helmer and also Laith Marouf. That's quite an agenda for the week ahead.
And we'll be commenting on my Jordani interview.
Correct, absolutely. Now, there were questions that they went by quickly, but if you scroll up, Rami, you may be able to find a couple of questions that we missed while you and I were talking.
So there's, I'm trying to keep, where are privacy laws? That's one question. Where are the privacy laws?
We have, in Canada, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most protective privacy laws, we're probably at a 4. And it's a big question, which requires an episode at least to address meaningfully. But in Canada, our privacy laws are quite weak, frankly.
But also, Dimitri, one thing that they've mentioned in the comments, in the videos, is that as soon as you're flagged as a threat, the privacy laws don't apply. And then they could, if you're on some terror watch list, then they could just bypass everything.
Yeah, national security in the privacy context is used to drive a truck through the minimal regulation that we have.
So now we need to ask ourselves, what's the bar to be considered a threat to national security?
Right.
And then that should be the basis of where the privacy laws start, actually. And then we have a question here. Do you have stats on which countries have weapon contracts with Israel, 140 plus, where countries rank in military sales?
I don't. That's a good question. But I suspect that the BDS campaign has compiled a lot of information on companies, or both governments and private corporations that are doing business with Israel's military industrial sector. So I think a good place to start would be to go to the website of the BDS movement.
And then maybe hear this question: in light of the digital ghetto they are building for us, any advice to deal with and or avoid digital IDs being rolled out throughout the West? In my opinion, we should probably start by I mean, this is maybe something I could do, Dimitri, dive deeper into this question of these smart cities. Because I've always heard about this. I didn't know how that intersected with security, with state surveillance, although I'm pretty sure it's quite obvious, but I've never really asked myself this question. Mm-hmm. There's also this whole talk about, digital currencies being able to, we saw this during the pandemic, Dimitri, where they blocked bank accounts for the people that didn't want to, who protested in front of the Canadian Parliament. So when we're digitizing everything, when our cars are basically centralized at Tesla headquarters where they could just shut down our car from the click of a button, it's extremely scary where our society is heading towards. Mm-hmm. And everything they warned us about communism, we are somewhat getting this without the free healthcare, free education, free housing, free food, free good times. So
right. So I just want to quickly address 2 questions before we sign off. So I've seen that somebody in the chat has asked a couple of times about George Galloway being poisoned. I don't know anything about that. I'm not sure where that question's coming from. I just did a quick search. This is the first I'm hearing about it. Apparently, I do see a Guardian article from 2019 which says that George was censured over claiming that he was poisoned in Salisbury or something of that nature. But I have no knowledge of the background of that whole matter. And somebody in the chat asked Rami when we're going to drop the Dieudonné interview, because Dieudonné is a hero of our friend in the chat. So what's your best estimate as to when we're going to finally publish that interview?
Ideally, we publish it on Tuesday. So I'm hoping for this YouTube channel, Reason to Resist, we will publish our commentary. So we're going to watch the interview and we're going to chit chat like we just did right now. And then post the full unedited version on the French channel. Keep in mind, Dieudonné speaks French. The interview was done in French. So we should probably put subtitles.
We will certainly try to do so. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for your patience, everybody. We've been going for a couple of hours. And I want to just give a huge shout out to our brother Rami for fantastic reporting yet again, young man. This was extremely enlightening, and just keep an eye on where you are nowadays, and when you're out in public, think twice about whom you're talking to and who might be following you, because you're starting to piss some people off. So
I've been a bit paranoid lately. I've been a bit paranoid.
That's not a bad thing as long as you keep it under control. Anyways, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us, and we look forward to our next live stream, hopefully in a few days' time.
Talk soon, folks. See you.
So.